To all of our local, regional and international viewers, thank you kindly for choosing us here at Real TV, where we bring reality to you. My dear friends, a very warm welcome to another edition of the program Conversations with Zelisa, where we continue to inform, educate, empower and answer those unanswered questions. I am Zelisa Rupani, humbly inviting you to sit back, relax, enjoy. Get your pen, get your notebook, Real TV, so you could take notes on important numbers that will be helpful for you and your loved ones. Directing this morning and in Master Control, Nathaniel Reed, on behalf of the team, would like to wish each and every one of you a beautiful, blessed, productive and great day today, reminding you life is what you make of it. Happy Monday. It's Monday the 23rd of February 2026. It is a day and time we'll never have the opportunity to ever have again in life. So don't procrastinate, don't waste your time. Do something productive and constructive, all right? If you're celebrating a birthday, happy birthday to you. If it's your anniversary, happy anniversary to you and yours, that someone special. Nathaniel, can we quickly go to our quote for today? Staying positive does not mean that things will turn out okay. Rather, it is knowing that you will be okay no matter how things turn out. It's about how you address and how you deal, and understand that you should maintain your positive attitude at all times. Thank you so much for that, Nathaniel. And, welcome back to Conversations with Zelisa. This morning, I'm in conversation with a true son of this soil, a legal mind that is. I'm speaking of no other than Mr. Glenn Bhagwan Singh. Now, he's been a practicing attorney for the past 12 years. He specialized in family, civil and land law. And of course, he's also the lead attorney and a director of the Single Mothers Association of Trinidad and Tobago. And he's been doing that for the past 7 years or so. Let's say a very good morning and a warm welcome to Mr. Bhagwan Singh. Sir, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on the show, and good morning to all the viewers out there.
Well, we are very grateful that you could take time off of your busy schedule. We know you wear many hats. We know that you are very consumed. And so we really appreciate you taking time from your busy schedule to spend some time to inform and educate us, enlighten us. Today, sir, we're going to be talking about divorce. And how do you start over? And more importantly, knowing your rights. You know, sir, when two people meet, there's a spark. There's a little something that happens out of the ordinary. And then you fall madly in love. Or some think they fall madly in love. And, it's like, I look into your eyes and I see a world. I can't live without you. You're the air that I breathe. And then you say, well, I can't live without you. You want to spend the rest of your life with this person, especially when you make that life commitment, And you make that commitment not only in front of your family and friends, but before God. So it's something that's very deep. It's something that's very meaningful. And you get that certificate, that marriage certificate, that bond that says, this is legal, right? But it's also, there comes a point where people divorce for many reasons, many, many reasons. And so it's sad when that love and that unity and that peace has to come to an end.
It is unfortunate. In the times of our grandparents, divorce was not as prevalent as it is today. I think it is just a byproduct of the fast-paced lifestyle that we now enjoy, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. And so you would have had many cases with regards to divorce, and you would see many reasons and many situations and different personalities, and people deal with it. Some people deal with it in a very aggressive way, and some people are very calm about it. Some people it's very difficult, and now I'm told that some people have lavish parties.
Oh yeah, yes. Some people just can't wait to get away from the other party.
Wait. And so it is important to know perhaps what really in terms of your rights? Where does it start? What do you do? Do you really need an attorney? How can I get divorced? For those that are looking, or parents that are looking on and know that their children are in a situation where it's very toxic, you know?
Well, an attorney is not required to do a divorce. You can actually do it on your own. There is a system, and it's called the self-help divorce.
Right.
You reach out to the family court,
Yeah.
and they would provide the forms for you. You fill it out, you file it, and you can get your divorce on your own.
You can.
You can.
But may I ask? Okay, so that's great for a lot of people, but for those where children are involved and where property is involved and where assets and things like that, homes and would you suggest that you do that on your own?
No, that is where the attorney comes in.
Great.
Because you would need to know your legal rights, what you can and cannot do, and what you may or may not be entitled to. So you would need legal advice.
Yeah. And there are many situations, as I said, and reasons why people get divorced, right? So let's now talk about perhaps they've explored counseling, perhaps they got the families involved, parents involved to counsel, to talk, and they've reached a point where no, I can't live with this person anymore, and I really want to be separated. I want to legally not be attached anymore. And I would say this, and I'm sure you would say this as well, sir, especially when children are involved, it's quite sensitive.
Very sensitive.
And so whether you choose to not to live with this person, I think you have to understand that I'm always going to be connected because of my children.
Okay, so that is something that you may need to correct in terms of whether or not you live with a person and can be divorced. You can actually live with someone in the same house and get divorced and continue living with that person in the same house.
Yeah.
You just live your life, they live their life.
You agree to disagree, you agree to live in the same home, but separate lives. And I think a lot of people are doing that now.
Yeah. Rather than one party goes to rent or they're homeless or they have nowhere to go.
Right.
Both parties stay, separate rooms.
Yes.
Each one goes their own way.
And you still parent your children.
And still parent the children.
I think once you could deal with that and cope with that, I think that's quite nice. Because then you understand, okay, we are no longer married, we're no longer together, but we do have our children. That would be our priority, and to ensure that they are in a happy, safe place with both parents.
And that is actually an ideal scenario if you intend to get a divorce with respect to the children. Because the children bear the brunt of it.
They do, and I'm sure you see that all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Let's now start with perhaps what would be the first steps that you need once you decide. You both decide. Now, there are situations where, I'm sure you get that as well, where one person is saying, well, I don't want to live with you anymore. I don't want to be married to you anymore. And the other one is still struggling and saying, well, I'm not going to divorce you.
Okay, so the court in Trinidad does not force someone to remain married to someone who doesn't wish to be married anymore.
Right.
Once the person who wishes to get divorced has proper grounds for divorce, they can apply and they will get through.
What are some of the grounds, sir?
Okay, so one of the grounds would be unreasonable behavior, where one party behaves in a manner that the other party simply cannot live with that person anymore. In terms of they may create a toxic environment, obscene language, verbal abuse, depriving the other party of money, or physical abuse as well sometimes, unfortunately.
Verbal abuse.
Mental abuse. So the party that imposes those conditions may say, the marriage is working fine, I am not given a divorce.
Yeah.
But the victim might say otherwise, and the court would not force the victim to remain in that marriage.
How does one prove that, though?
You just need to outline the factors to the court. The court doesn't go into whether or not you have a third party given evidence to prove that. Your word is sufficient, because nobody would be in the home to say you were being verbally abused or mentally abused or physically abused. So your word is sufficient.
Would for instance, pictures, let's say somebody's being physically abusive and you have pictures of...
that only solidifies your position.
Or perhaps if you go to the police
you
and make a report, those things I'm sure would add strength to what
Yes,
you're
but
saying.
they are not necessary.
They're not?
No.
Okay,
Your word is sufficient.
your word is sufficient. What happens next?
Then you would file, you would go to your attorney, you would outline the factors as to the instances that may have caused you to no longer wish to be in this marriage. The attorney would present it to the court and you would get your divorce.
Nice. Now, when it comes to children in particular, I'm not even going into, we'll talk about that later on, but let's now talk about children. In order, one party may say, well, I want my children, I don't want my children living with you. Now, you're part of the Single Mothers Association, so you understand some of the difficulties and the challenges women face as well in order to get their kids.
Well, in terms of children, there is a biasness towards the mother. Because at the end of the day,
It's
a mother is a
established-
mother.
Right, a mother is a mother. So the fact is mothers are prioritized
They are prioritized, not by law, but by practice.
by practice.
So to deprive a mother of her children, the father would have to have strong grounds. And to use an example, the mother could be an alcoholic, but she's still taking care of the children. Those are not grounds. She has to actually be abusive to the children for the court to take them away from her.
What are some other reasons?
You're on drugs, something, you beat the children, you physically put them in harm's way. If you are an alcoholic, you carry them to the back when you're drinking. Those are things you cannot do.
You know, you just said there a very real situation where mothers take their kids to the bar or they leave their children unattended and go partying and lying. Just as there are men who are, not good fathers. There are mothers who are not good mothers as well.
Yeah,
who
there
just
are some
don't
fathers
care.
who would do anything for their children.
There are fathers who step up, and there are fathers and mothers. There are fathers who stay home and take care of the kids, and the mother go lineman. Just as how men do it, women do it as well. And so can a man then, he would have grounds, he would have to have good evidence, I'm thinking, in order to make sure that, he is clear about saying, well, this woman is not fit to take care of my children.
Oh yeah, in that instance, word of mouth will not suffice.
Right.
You would have to have pictures or third-party corroborating evidence to prove that.
Okay. So just as women have rights, men have rights as well, which is
Yes.
extremely important. And as we were saying, yes, in terms of mothers being a little more biased or prioritizing, there really are very good fathers that
Yeah.
step up. And I mean, I know a lot of fathers who is responsible and take full responsibility of the children, and the mothers just living their lives.
Yeah, because when you go to court for divorce, the court would always ask, how are the children being taken care of? They would not give you a divorce until the children's requirements are satisfied. So some fathers would say, I am accepting full responsibility, financially and otherwise, and you get your divorce.
Nice. So we establish that, we understand that, and it is important now. So we understand that you have rights. The courts will listen to both parties and then they make a decision. In a situation where the court will make a decision, perhaps being biased or saying, well, in this case, we allow the children to stay with the mother and the father will have visitation. What happens to the father who says, well, I'm not accepting that? Can he go back to the courts and try to prove, well, I want my children?
He can, but again, you have to have proof. You can't just say, I want my children without providing a reason. And because the father may have more financial means than the mother is not a good reason.
And that's a very good point that you've raised there, because some fathers may say, but I'm making X amount of money, how can she take care of the children? And okay, understood. So money has nothing to do with it.
Nothing.
However, it is about always the safety and comfort of the children.
Always.
Because safety and comfort is extremely important. You could be
Very
safe,
important.
but then you're not comfortable, or you don't. Perhaps they don't have that bond or relationship as they would the other parent.
That is correct.
Excellent.
That is absolutely correct.
Great. This is the program Conversations with Zelisa right here on Real TV, where we bring reality to you. Today we're talking about divorce, starting over, but more importantly, knowing your rights as well. In conversation with attorney at law, Mr. Glenn Bhagwan Singh. Let's go to these important messages. Stay with us.
I am Walter Stewart, President of the Trinidad and Tobago National Council of Parent-Teacher Associations Incorporated. Join us every Thursday, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Real TV, where we look at NPTA Speaks, National Parent-Teacher Association Speaks, on topical and relevant issues pertaining to parents, teachers, education, and students of Trinidad and Tobago. This, of course, encapsulates local, regional, and international audiences every Thursday, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Real TV, NPTA Speaks.
Are you looking for the right space for your business? Fred's Plaza has the space you need. We offer professional rental spaces designed for growing businesses. Conveniently located in San Juan on the Eastern Main Road, opposite the PTSC terminal and between Royal Castle and Mario's. Easy access, high visibility. For inquiries, call or WhatsApp 868-384-7142 today, or visit Level 3 Fred's Plaza for details.
I am Zelisa Singh Rupani, inviting you to join me for the rebirth of Apne Sitare, Our Stars, a vibrant and spectacular show celebrating the incredible local talents of the sons and daughters of Trinidad and Tobago. Experience the beauty of our culture through singing, dancing, and musical performances as we keep the arts alive and shining bright. Tune in right here on Real TV every Sunday from 1 p.m. for Apne Sitare, Our Stars. See you there.
Welcome back to Conversations with Zelisa right here on Real TV, where we bring reality to you, to all of our local, regional, international viewers, all those of you on the Caribbean, Showtime Television in Canada, all those of you on Tego, the app. Thank you so much for choosing us, allowing us to influence you in a positive way, adding value. Knowledge is power. When we have knowledge, we make better decisions, and when we make better decisions today, we're certainly going to have a better tomorrow. Today I'm in conversation with Mr. Glenn Bhagwan Singh. Now, Mr. Bhagwan Singh is an attorney at law. He specializes in family, civil and land law. And today he's talking to us about divorce, starting over, and more importantly, knowing your rights. Yeah? Welcome back, sir. Mr. Bhagwan Singh, so we establish children and the importance of what happens or what can happen and your rights for your children, because every parent is entitled to rights for their children.
That is correct.
Yeah. And so I think what we also need to establish, we just casually spoke about it, but really in terms of what are grounds, secure grounds for divorce. We don't ever want to divorce. You try by, you get some intervention to counsel, to help, somebody to intervene, to help, to listen, a counselor, a mediator, to save. You always want to save, but if at the end you're not happy or disenchanted or something becomes that is beautiful becomes toxic, there's no reason to stay.
There's no
together.
need to stay anymore.
Exactly.
You can't leave, you can't get a divorce. Now, we have briefly discussed unreasonable behavior, where one party behaves in a manner
Right.
that is not conducive to the marriage.
Good.
But there may be instances where both parties get along amicably, but simply realize that, hey, this marriage not working, let's go our separate ways. And the courts in Trinidad do make provision for that. So if you have lived separate and apart from someone for 5 years, you can't get a divorce. If you have lived separate and apart for someone for 2 years and the other party consents, you can't get a divorce.
Now, it is important, I think, that we all understand, and we did discuss it casually. People get divorced for many reasons. They fall in love and they fall out of love. I always tell people, being in love with somebody is completely different with loving somebody. It's two different things. And you're correct. Sometimes you realize you married the wrong person. When the honeymoon is over, as people will say, life begins, and you realize, but wait now, this person is not the same person when I was dating. He not taking me out. He not telling me he loved me. You know, different things you realize, and you just get up and realize, well, I can't live like this for the rest of my life. And it is important that you're entitled to that feeling. You don't have to stay with somebody if you're not happy.
No, there's no animosity between the parties. They simply wake up and realize this is not working.
It's not working.
Let's go our separate ways.
Yeah, and I honestly don't see anything wrong in that, you know. I mean, an individual is entitled to their opinion and their personal feeling. And if you, I mean, people might say, but you just get up one day and realize you don't want to live with this man or you don't want to live with this woman. But it happens.
It happens. Unfortunately, but it happens.
Unfortunately, it happens because there's a lot of time that people invest into a relationship. Sometimes it takes a lot of money that you also invest with gifts and trips and things. A lot of investments happen. So I think we need to also understand and be fair that it's okay if you think you don't love. You don't have to have a big reason to say this person beaten me, he not nice to me. I mean, you could just say it in your soul that you don't feel you don't want to be with this person, and that's okay.
And you could still continue to live in the same house together.
Yeah.
You're just not married anymore.
Not legally. I don't know how that's going to work with our children, and you live in your life and I live in my life knowing that you were married. But it happens. I'm sure you see it and you experience it. And people live there.
It makes it easier for the children that way, actually. Both parents still there, as far as the children are concerned.
Yeah.
Mommy is there, daddy is there.
Yeah.
They're just not married, but both of them still there.
Yeah, and they still attend functions. They still attend school functions, and they very much a family.
Both interact with the children, normal basis.
And you know that might be better because the children get the best of mother and father. They no longer arguing, they no longer quarreling, they no longer in an environment where they don't know what's going to happen today, if mommy's going to be crying or not.
And the party is just divorced, but everything else remains the same.
Nice. What are some of the other reasons that we need to look out for, or that people have the right to say, well, I don't want to live with you anymore?
Well, infidelity is a reason.
Is
A
it
big
one of
reason.
the big reasons?
A big reason. However, it is a difficult reason to prove in court, because with infidelity, you cannot make an accusation. You have to prove that infidelity occurred. So it is very difficult
So
to
it's a
prove.
little difficult because it's not anymore your word of mouth.
Oh.
It becomes a little more serious in the sense that, well, prove if this man is being unfaithful, or he has been, or he had a child outside, which is very common in
Well,
this
that
country. and
is
seems to
proof.
be.
That is strong
That is
proof.
proof. Yes. Perhaps, I guess, well, you know, a lot of people live their life on Facebook. A lot of people live on social media. So perhaps if you have evidence of pictures or...
No, actually, pictures of being with someone else on a date or something is not proof of infidelity.
What is considered then, Mr. Bagonsi?
You actually have to have intimate pictures to prove the person. Yes.
So you have to hire a private investigator?
If it comes to that, yes. However, having pictures on your phone would go towards unreasonable behavior. because you now suspect the person may be committing adultery.
Right.
So you could use that for unreasonable behavior, but you cannot use that for adultery or infidelity.
What about evidence from the phone chats?
Still,
Really?
you could say anything you want. That is not proof
Yeah.
that infidelity exists.
So you need to have pictures of them being intimate.
Or a child. A
Or
child
a child,
is
the
born.
birth of a child,
Yes.
and you could demand I guess you can ask for some sort of
paternity
proof,
test,
a
a DNA
paternity
test,
test. What are some of the other reasons?
Oh, those are the grounds. Those are the
Grounds.
grounds for divorce, yes.
Okay, so we all know in this country it's very common. Fidelity to me is something that seems to people think, they deal with it. It's quite common. It's not acceptable, but it's quite common. And so it's good enough reason to say, well, there are people, however, there are people who would have gone through relationships in their marriage with other people, and their spouse would forgive, and they live together for the rest of their life.
It happens.
And there are others who say, well, I can't deal with this. I can't live with somebody that I know was unfaithful to me, or was unkind to me, or disrespected me. I think that's you cross the line, you disrespect. And so I want a divorce. You're entitled to that.
You're entitled. Now, even when you go to court, and the court pronounces what is called a decree nisi, it means that you have attained the first step in getting a divorce. They then give you a 6-week period to finalize the divorce. So within that 6 weeks, you can make a decision whether or not you wish to get back together or you wish to finalize the divorce. And I've actually had a case where the parties got back together within that 6-week period.
They
They
decided
said,
this
yeah,
is not what they want.
this is not what we want, let's make it work.
Huh. And it's working?
And it's working. This was about 5 years ago.
And they've made it work.
They've made it
Right.
work.
So the first step is the decree, as you said?
Decree nisi.
What does this mean?
It simply means the court has made a pronouncement that you're entitled to apply for your divorce.
Okay.
And 6 weeks later, you can apply to make it final. So you'd get what is called a decree absolute,
Right.
meaning you are now divorced.
Right. So in that 6-week period, would the court then say, I'm sending you all for counseling, or I advise counseling? What do they just allow? What is that 6 weeks?
It actually is optional. If you tell the court you would like to go to counseling, the court would embrace that idea. Because the idea of the family court is not to force divorce on anybody. They quite happily will hope that you all get back together. They are just a last resort.
I think especially it becomes a little more sensitive when there are children involved.
Yeah.
And when there are no children involved, what happens?
Same thing.
It's
You
the
can
same
still
thing.
access the facilities to have counseling or mediation and try to work it out.
As an attorney, do you say to your clients, you suggest, when they come to you, of course you're a good listener, I already gathered that. You listen, you pay attention, you absorb. But do you, do you say you suggest counseling?
It depends on the nature of the divorce. So like if a wife comes to me and she's been physically abused, there's no counseling or mediation there. Let's just get the divorce. But if there are disagreements about minor things, trivial things, and they simply need someone to mediate, then yes, I would suggest it.
You do suggest that, okay. This is a program, Conversations with Zelisa, right here on Real TV, where we bring reality to you. Let's go to these important messages. When we return, we continue our conversation. If you may have a question, you're free to call in, or you can send me a WhatsApp, 3847142. It's there on the television. And I will read it to Mr. Bhagwan Singh, and he, of course, will be very happy to respond. Do stay with us.
Macon Construction Company Limited. Save big whilst building stronger. We build with our Macon innovative building systems, which provides high wind speed, earthquake, sea blast and fire resistance, is thermally and acoustically insulated, provides improved construction timelines and cost savings. We provide construction services from design to finish and everything in between. Macon Construction Company Limited. Building green today with tomorrow's technology. Contact or visit us today.
Hi, I'm Joanne Ogaro, and welcome to Smart Talk. SMART is the acronym for the Single Mothers Association of Trinidad and Tobago.
And I am Melissa Brown. Smart Talk exists to give single mothers and families real conversation, real data, real advocacy.
And I am Shermaine Wickham Howe, President and Founder of the Single Mothers Association, highlighting all issues affecting single mothers, facts, situation, solution, empowerment. So tune in at 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. every Wednesday on Real TV with Smart Talk.
Ready to take your sales career to the next level? If you have a passion for connecting with clients, building meaningful relationships, and delivering results, we want you on our team. Join a dynamic, motivated environment where your experience matters, your ideas are valued, and your drive defines your success. Step into a role with real opportunity. Join the sales team at Real TV, where your future begins.
Call us today at 292-6470 or WhatsApp us at 384-7142. You can also send an email to realtv.corporate@gmail.com.
Welcome back to Conversations with Zelisa right here on Real TV, where we bring reality to you. And today I'm in conversation with attorney at law Mr. Glenn Bhagwan Singh, and Mr. Bhagwan Singh today is talking to us about divorce and knowing your rights. The important thing is understanding and knowing that you do have rights, and you have the right to decide whether you choose to live with someone or choose not to live with them. Mr. Bhagwan Singh, welcome back, sir. In terms of children, and once the courts decide, well, I'm going to allow the children to either stay with mother or father, talk to us about visitation rights, still having the rights to your children. How does that work?
Well, the court would not deprive a parent of the rights to spend time with the child.
Right.
Because that is your child.
It's your child, father or mother. Eh?
Father or mother.
Right.
So if the court makes an order that the child stays with the mother during the week, they would usually allocate weekends to either the mother or the father. So one weekend would be for the mother, one weekend would be for the father. Mm-hmm. Now, even though the child is staying with the mother during the week, they don't say the mother has the child during the week, so she should not get weekends, because during the week is school.
Exactly,
so
work and school.
Yeah, so they don't consider it as quality time with the child.
Right.
So the mother would get one weekend to spend with her children.
Right.
The father would get one weekend to spend with his children. Mm-hmm. And the weekends would usually be from Friday afternoon to Sunday afternoon.
Good. Now, Mr. Bhagwan Singh, we both understand that we're in trying times, especially when it comes to finances. To take care of yourself is expensive, and to take care of your children also. I want to talk a little bit about finances, because it is extremely important. School, whether your children go to a government school or paid school, it's money that you have to find to pay. It costs extracurricular activities, medical bills. I'm a single parent, not by choice, but because, as I told you, my husband died. But the point is, you still, not because of that, you still want to ensure that your child is given a good opportunities in life to blossom, to be well-rounded, to be cultured. And it takes money. And it's expensive, especially if you choose to do dance and piano and music and singing and all these other things that you choose to send, or lessons. You have commitments with the school and other things, medical bills and other things. So let's talk a little bit about finances and how that works when it comes to the courts and allowances.
So that would fall under the term of maintenance for the
Right.
children. Now, when you are filing for a divorce, you would also file a document showing what the monthly expenses for the children are, including school fees, lessons, extracurricular activities, transport, everything.
Sport, yeah.
And both parents are expected to contribute equally, half and half.
Let me ask this, sir. What happens if one party is not working? So let's say the mother was a housewife and the father decides, okay, they go to court, they get divorced, she's in the house with the children. Let's just say, we're building a scenario here. But she's not employed. She's at home. And so she can't contribute anything any financial contribution. She gives her love, her nurturing, taking the responsibility of them during the week and things like that. Let's talk a little bit about that situation.
All right. So it is not as simple as that, because it depends on what the financial status of the parties were before the divorce. So if it was a case where the mother previously worked, but then quit her job to see about the children, the court would say, okay, you can now get a job and contribute your half.
They do.
However,
Yeah.
if it is a situation where the parties built a business and the husband is financially secure, the court would allocate monies from that towards the children via the mother.
There are situations where both people get together and they start a business from scratch. And
Yes.
so they work towards buying property and expanding and doing, and together they work. And that's a different...
Now, that is actually a very ticklish scenario,
Right.
because you would assume, based on the scenario you now drew, that both parties contributed towards the business, built it. If they separate, there should be an equal split. That is the law in England. They say, mother, father, there is no distinction, share everything 50-50. In Trinidad, we don't follow that.
So what do we say in Trinidad?
We say that the wife should get an amount that keeps her living within the same standard of living that she previously lived in. So to use an example, if the husband is fabulously wealthy, the court would not take half of what he had. They would just give the wife sufficient to keep her maintaining a certain lifestyle. So the husband walks away with the bulk of it. They don't tell the husband he has to get only what would keep him in that same lifestyle. They only tell that to the wife, even though both parties built the business. So our laws are lagging behind with respect to equality of property.
But that isn't fair, sir. I mean, I say that openly.
Oh, it's very unfair. But
Not just as a woman,
unfortunately-
but as a person. It's unfair.
Now, some judges defy the law and still equate
Yes.
half and half.
Yeah.
But our Court of Appeal has said no. That is not the proper approach. So the laws in Trinidad need to be amended. And they need to be amended urgently.
Exactly. We live in the year 2026,
But our laws are from 1960 or 1970.
which is so unfortunate. Especially if you give your all, if you work and build together. And you follow what I'm saying?
Yes, and-
You work hard, you put in everything, you come home on top of that, take care of your children, take care of your family. Your husband decides to be unfaithful or whatever reason, you get a divorce and you're not treated equally. That's not fair.
And he still walks away with the bulk of it.
That's not fair.
It's not fair, but it is the law.
It is the law.
It is the law.
Like stand your ground. which I think needs to be defined and explained to our citizens, Recently I was in conversation with Justice of the Peace, Mr. Ibrahim Ali, and president of the San Juan Business Association. And, you know, he sort of dissect and explain, and I think trying to understand it even more and more. Our citizens need to understand that not because you have a firearm or because somebody comes into your home and you shoot them, you get away. As a matter of fact, you could go to jail.
Oh, you can.
Exactly. So people need to understand the law and understand, you know, what are their rights and not.
Yes.
Don't cross that line.
No, you can't.
Nice. Let's get back to where we have visitation rights and in terms of maintenance, as you were saying. Now, I know a lot of people use the term, we see it casually, well, he's not paying maintenance, so we're going to bring him up and they'll throw him in jail. You know, we hear that very often. Can you help us to understand that?
Jail is a last resort,
Right.
and the court doesn't really rely on that unless there are extreme circumstances. They want the parent to pay,
Right.
because if the parent is in jail, they're not going to pay.
No, it becomes worse.
It becomes worse.
Yeah.
So they would try to use all sorts of different tactics, coercion, to get the parent to pay. Of course, with threats of going to jail.
Mr. Bhagwan Singh, we all know they are very delinquent fathers, eh?
There are. No.
Very, they live in life large, they earning money, they don't care, they relationship to relationship, a million children all over. No, that's the fact. So let's face it, right? And you have your children and this lady struggling. She's probably holding down 3 or 4 jobs. That's what's going on. Trying to make ends meet, and you live in life lavishly. You're living on social media, you eat it in the most expensive restaurants, driving nice cars, and your children are struggling.
Well, if the wife knows where the husband works, she can do what is called a garnishee order, meaning she can apply to his employer to pay her the maintenance directly from his salary.
This is great information for mothers who are struggling, who are having problems. I want you to repeat this, sir.
You can apply to the court for what is called a garnishee order.
So you first go to the court.
Yes.
You say to the court,
I
this is
know
where
where he
John Doe
works,
is working.
and I believe his salary may be X, Y, and Z.
Right.
The court would summons his paymaster. And the paymaster would say, this is how much he earns it weekly or fortnightly or monthly. And the court would make an order that part of that salary is to be paid directly to the mother. They don't give it to the father to pay to the mother.
Now, does he have to give his approval for
Oh
that?
no, oh no.
This is where the court will intervene.
Court,
The law of
yes.
the land will say, you're working for X amount of money. The employer now is, well, I need to pay attention to this in case I get any letters, Robert, and you won't have any. You know? No, but it's important information that people will know. So you go to the court will intervene.
The court
will now send a letter to the employer.
A summons.
A summons to the saying XYZ is the situation, and you now need to direct part payment to
Directly to the wife or the mother.
Okay, understood. I think that's great information. I wonder how many people are aware of that.
It's sad, but quite a number of people are not aware of that. And I see it when they come to my office.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do.
They
simply don't know.
And I think that's where what sets an attorney apart from just deciding I want to do this on my own is that you get a lot of clarity and you could sit, consult and ask questions, and that's how you know your rights.
Yes.
And so it is important then that you seek proper legal advice.
That is very important. So while the option of self-help divorce does exist, you may not know what your true rights are.
Exactly. And you know, to have a consult is extremely important. To
Yes.
sit with an attorney and say XYZ is the situation, please guide me. What are my rights? What am I supposed to do? What am I not supposed to do? That will, you know, that will help.
Now, for those women, or those persons I should say,
Okay.
who may not be able to afford an attorney, or who may want to get advice just in contemplation of what they should do, the government provides a service called legal aid.
Right.
You can approach legal aid and they would sit down and have a free consult with you. And they may actually do the divorce for you if you qualify.
And the truth is, there are also a lot of legal clinics that are absolutely free. I know one is headed by Sajina Kadir, and she works with the TTPS, and they go out throughout the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago, different areas, monthly, and they give free, they consult for free.
I know the Tunapuna Chamber
Chamber,
of Business did one.
yes,
I know
certainly.
the Eastern Lawyers Association did one. I know the Southern Lawyers Association did
Yes,
one. So
yeah.
they are there. You
They-
just need to pay attention.
Pay attention and be mindful of when they advertise and things like that. But then, of course, you also have the legal aid, which is so important as
Yes.
well. Yeah.
And they provide sound advice.
Now, I want to just go to the legal aid. Do you have to be in a place where you don't have a certain amount of income or you're not bringing in order to qualify to get that?
That is correct.
Okay.
They would give you the consult, but to actually qualify for their services in terms of representation,
Right.
you have to be below a certain level of income.
Right.
I can't remember the figure offhand, so I wouldn't
Or
try to
perhaps
quote a
not
figure.
working at all.
Yeah.
Perhaps if you're not employed, or like a mother who is, she's been a caretaker or a homemaker or a stay-at-home mom, and she doesn't have an income or a job.
Now, second to that, quite a lot of attorneys would provide pro bono services in that regard.
Okay.
I know some persons are afraid to approach attorneys because they think we charge these big exorbitant fees,
Yes.
but we don't. Quite a number of them would assist.
Quite accommodating and understanding. Great. This is the program Conversations with Zelisa right here on Real TV, where we bring reality to you. In conversation today with attorney at law Mr. Glenn Bhagwan Singh, talking about divorce and most importantly talking about knowing your rights. Let's go to these important messages. When we return, we continue our conversation. Stay with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, young people, senior citizens, it is my pleasure and privilege to invite you to look at the program Inspired on Real TV at 2 p.m. every Wednesday afternoon. Inspired is designed to lift your spirits, to help you overcome depression and failure so you could be an outstanding, extraordinary success. We have special experts every Wednesday who will inspire you to do better, to be your best self. So may God bless you. And remember, every Wednesday at 2 p.m., please look out for the program Inspire.
When security matters most, choose Catch Security Services Limited. We are proudly approved by the Ministry of Homeland Security. We protect your home, business, community, and much more. Our services include professional baton and armed officers, specialized K-9 units, mobile patrols, secure cash pickups, secure transport, and pepper spray applications and supply coming soon. Don't wait. Secure your assets now. Contact Catch Security today. Call 622-6601, email info@cssl-tt.com, or visit our office at 30-32 Saddle Road, Maraval. Are you looking for the right space for your business? Fred's Plaza has the space you need. We offer professional rental spaces designed for growing businesses. Conveniently located in San Juan on the Eastern Main Road, opposite the PTSC terminal and between Royal Castle and Mario's. Easy access, high visibility. For inquiries, call or WhatsApp 868-384-7142 today, or visit Level 3 Fred's Plaza for details.
Welcome back to Conversations with Zelisa right here on Real TV, where we bring reality to you, to all of our local, regional, international viewers. Thank you so much for choosing us, allowing us to add value and, share important information. Knowledge is power. Yeah. In conversation today with attorney at law Mr. Glenn Bhagwan Singh. He's been practicing for over 12 years, specializes in family, civil and land law. And today he's talking to us about divorce, more importantly, knowing your rights. Welcome back, sir. So we touched on our children a little bit. I want to go into property. We touched on the fact that if you have two people that started a business from scratch and work together towards achieving goals, buying property, a beautiful home, nice cars, things like that, I feel it's quite unfortunate that the law is not too fair when it comes to women. However, I would like to talk a little bit more about property. Property in the sense that, let us just say you got married and the parents decide, well, we want to buy you a house as a gift. So they buy you a house and you have your startup home. And then you decide, well, I don't want to live with you, I want to divorce. And you have one of the parties, whether it's a husband or wife, stating, well, I have rights, I want half of that house. Can you clarify that?
Of course. Now, you have to ask, as a lawyer, you ask the first question, was the property purchased prior to marriage or was it purchased for the marriage? If it was purchased prior to marriage, then you, as a wife, you would still have rights to the property, but the rights would be very small. If it was purchased for the marriage, then the wife's rights would increase because it would now be termed the matrimonial property. So it is not a straightforward scenario where I can just give a figure, this is what you may be entitled to.
But Mr. Bhagwan Singh, if one of the parties or both of the parties, let's say, did not put a cent into that, they got it as a gift, and you decide to get divorced, would that other party be entitled?
Yes, it is still matrimonial property. Matrimonial property is where the husband and wife resides.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how they acquired it.
Even if you did not put a cent?
Even if you did not put a cent. Now, there's a distinguishing feature with respect to property that is inherited.
I was just about to ask you about getting a gift from, past, or you're living in the family heritage home. You know, it happens where a son may live there in this home, given, passed down from generation to generation, and a divorce happens. All right.
Great. So if you are married and one party inherits property, that is not considered part of matrimonial property. So the other party cannot claim that unless they have been married for like donkey years, so to speak. 20, 30 years.
Right.
Then it becomes part of the matrimonial property.
Right.
But inherited property remains with the party who inherited that property.
I'm going to go back a little bit to the gift, right? A gift of that property, a home, a startup home. So if you put the property, let us say it's the bride's family. Her parents decide they're going to buy her a home. You just put that property in her name alone. And they live together in that house for a year and then decide they want to get married. Does he still have rights, even though his name is not on that property?
He still has full rights as a spouse. Now I'll use a little example. In years gone by, wives were usually housewives.
Right.
And the husband would acquire property and put the deed in his name. He would be the one working, he would be the one paying the mortgage, all of that.
Right.
But in terms of a divorce, the wife was still recognized as a wife and as a partner and equally entitled to a share.
Well, the beauty is, I would step in here and say, she may not have contributed financially, but if she was the homemaker that took care of him, made sure the house was clean, make sure his suits were taken, make sure he was taken care of, and taken care of her children as well, I think she's entitled because she invested her life into helping her family blossom.
And the court adopts that approach.
I would stand and say I agree with that because she would have invested.
However, they don't say the wife.
There's a however.
They say the spouse. They don't say the wife would have contributed. They say the spouse.
The spouse.
So the property could have been in either party's name.
Right.
The other spouse is still entitled.
Entitled. Okay.
Yes.
So there's some clarity there.
Yes. May not be 50%, but you would still get something.
May not be 50%, but you still get. I really think we need to visit some of the laws, you know, so that equal rights, you know.
Equal rights.
Yeah.
That is actually the way to go. England has already gone that way. We need to follow.
We need to follow. Perhaps you being part of a director at the Single Mothers Association for the past 7 years, and you would have had one-on-one and understanding the struggles firsthand and the challenges some women feel. Perhaps you can start advocating so that women are, you know, treated equally.
Oh, yes, I can certainly follow your advice.
What do you say as an attorney at law with regards to, I mean, I know you would have established, and based on our conversation and other conversations I would have held with legal minds, really try to know your rights before you make a decision.
Yes,
Consult.
it is important you get legal advice. Very important. Don't follow what your neighbor says, what your cousin says, what your brother or sister says. Go to an attorney who is not affiliated with the matter, who can give you independent, proper legal advice.
Because each case is unique and different. It may sound like, or it may seem like, but don't get hearsay or because this one, this whatever. Go, and it is important to get legal advice.
Yes, and don't follow what you see on TV programs. That is not the law. That is TV.
This is the law, though.
Not this.
He's most certainly enlightening us and shedding light on areas that are grey or perhaps we don't understand or a little difficult, especially when you're in the heat. You know how hot that water is.
Yes.
You know, it's only when people look on the outside and they speculate and they say. But when you are in a situation, you alone understand what you're going through.
Yes, and every situation, as you would have rightly pointed out just now, is unique. There are little nuances that exist. So you cannot look at someone else's example and say, this would apply to me. It may not.
Absolutely correct. And it's like a relationship. Each relationship is different.
Yes, it is.
Each relationship is different. Each situation is different. And there are people who may handle things in different ways or say things in different ways. But the fact is, each person is an individual with the right to have an opinion. And your opinion matters to you. You know?
That is so correct.
And we see it all the time. I'm sure you see it all the time in cases where you have siblings coming from the same womb, growing up in the same home, experiencing the same challenges and things like that. And it's sad that when they've got that cohesiveness or that love or that common ground of understanding that we are family, we are siblings, that because of land or because of property or because of material things, it goes.
Oh, we could actually spend a couple hours discussing that topic.
Yeah, perhaps that's
That
something
is-
we should consider next
Yes,
time.
but that is a huge area in itself.
Let's talk a little bit about land law, because I think people simply don't understand and things grow out of hand, and cutlass being pulled, and this one
Yes,
not talking to this one, and this one fighting, and this one using profanity and the worst of things.
Yes, and they say, I am the eldest, so it's mine. Or I live there, so it's mine.
Or I'm entitled to, and it's not yours.
No.
At the end of the day, it's not yours. Your closing comments, sir.
If you are unhappy in your marriage, seek legal advice. It doesn't mean you have to get a divorce, but get some legal advice so you know what your rights are. But that is it in a nutshell, because your children may suffer at the end of the day. You may lose out on whatever property you may be entitled to. You may not even know if you can get a divorce. So speak to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, speak to someone in legal aid. They will assist.
Sir, our heartfelt thanks and gratitude, spending some time with us on conversations, having this conversation. I've been enlightened, and I'm most certainly our viewers are very grateful for the opportunity to hear good legal advice. And as you rightfully said, seek legal advice. I thank you kindly. God's choicest blessings. I trust and hope we can, have you back on the program where you could continue to share your wealth of knowledge and years of experience with us as well.
It would be my pleasure to come back.
Thank you, sir. Choicest blessings. See you soon. This is where we're going to wrap things up for today. Please, my friends, this is what I say to you. Respect the law of the land. Always do. Here's reminding you that with God, all things are possible. Thank you kindly for choosing us here. Have a great day. Be safe, be happy, keep smiling, and always know the best is yet to come. I am Zelisa Budusing Rupani. Thanks again for choosing us.